Welcome to Press Skol, episode 13. Jumping in here to preview tomorrow night's Vikings-Seahawks showdown. For those who joined us last week, I decided to experiment with a shorter show, playing Madden's Play the Moments mode. I thought that felt pretty good and went pretty well, so that's what we're going to do this week as well. As a reminder, that means the simulation will take care of a lot of the action, but it'll have me jump in on pivotal plays, third downs, red zone, scoring plays, things like that. So let's dive in. The Vikings, it's a Sunday without Vikings football, which feels a little weird, but the Vikings will be on Monday Night Football tomorrow night. They're coming up against a Seahawks team that is got a slight edge on them record-wise, 7-5. The NFC playoff picture right now. These are your two wild card teams: the Seahawks in the 6th spot or 5 spot rather, and the Vikings in the 6th spot after our divisional winners. Now this is all not factoring in the action today. I confess I've been traveling this week. I just landed back in Minneapolis from Denver a few hours ago, and so I haven't been following today's NFL action super closely. But coming into this week, that's how the playoff picture looked. To catch everybody up, the Vikings lost to the Patriots 24-10 last week, 14-point loss. That brought them to a season record of 6-5-1. I think it was the first time all year that our Madden preview had the spread accurate. So our Viking game in Press Skol last week was 27-13. So each team had 3 more points in our simulation, but that 14-point spread was accurate. And so to me, that was just another indicator that doing this play the moments mode is kind of a nice way to preview what we're going to see. As for this Seattle game, the Seahawks are favored by 3 at home, but the betting line is basically predicting a close game. We're watching an opening drive here where the Seahawks are moving the ball with relative ease here, running the ball well in particular, chunking off 4 or 5 yards. They're approaching the red zone. There's a good chance that the game's going to ask me to jump in here. So let's do it, and let's see if we can hold them to a field goal. I think, I'm going to be honest with you, I don't have a good feeling about tomorrow's game. The Vikings' recent history against the Seahawks is not good. On this 1st and 10, I'm going to bring a zone blitz. I'm going to have pressure coming off the right side. And the running back drops it there, so we get lucky on that one. But the Vikings, so when we did last week's New England Patriots game, I mentioned that the Vikings are on a 4-game losing streak against the Pats. We can make that a 5-game losing streak now. As it happens, the situation is the same with the Seahawks. We are on a 4-game losing streak. And with the exception of one particular game, a playoff game at TCF Bank Stadium that you probably remember, and that we'll talk about a little bit more, they have not been close games. And so that's why, and the Seahawks historically are pretty good at home. They're coming into tomorrow's game, I believe, on a 4-game winning streak, not against the Vikings, but just this season. And so they're playing with a little bit of confidence and a little bit of momentum. And so, reading the tea leaves, I just think tomorrow is a tough game for the Vikings, particularly the New England game. I don't think they played particularly inspired football, and only putting up 10 points, not a great outing. And so, again, I think all the trends right now are not looking super positive in the Vikings' favor. But boy, do they need to come out and play a good game. I'm bringing a man blitz up the middle here on 3rd and long, hoping we can get pressure on, and we do indeed. And so that worked just as I drew it up, and we'll hold them to a field goal after all. So let's talk about these matchups. The Seahawks, you know, I think Russell Wilson is going to be a focal point. The Vikings have struggled this year against mobile quarterbacks. If you think about Josh Allen in that Bills game, if you think about Mitch Trubisky in the Bears game, the Vikings have been, I think, with quarterbacks who can move on the ground and who can extend the play, the Vikings have been struggling. And you know with Russell Wilson, he's going to have that ability. And so that's going to be a big one to watch, I think. Are we going to be able to contain Russell Wilson, prevent him from extending plays, prevent him from beating us both in the air and on the ground? Similarly, or likewise on our side of the ball, it'll be interesting to see what Kirk Cousins brings tomorrow. He, on the contrary, is not great at extending plays with his feet, and he's been under a lot of pressure. He had a lethargic game, I thought, against the Patriots, and we'll be looking to him to bounce back tomorrow. He was pretty lethargic against the Bears on Sunday Night Football, and he had a nice bounce back game against the Packers, and so hopefully he can replicate that and do the same thing. Tomorrow against the Seahawks. The simulation, the Vikings go 3 and out, and they give the ball back to the Seahawks. And oh, look at that! Mike Hughes, who in our franchise mode did not have his season shortened by injury. Mike Hughes gets a big interception as the Seahawks are driving again, and we now have the ball in the red zone. And I'm going to take over here with the idea that we can at least tie this game. But let's see if we can even take an early first quarter lead here. I'm going to come out aggressive. I'm going to be have both my tight ends kind of attacking the middle of the field here. I'm also going to see what this corner does with Stephon Diggs, because it looks like he might get one-on-one coverage. And not seeing a lot downfield. Let's talk about the Seahawks defense. When I think about the Seahawks of recent years, I think they've been a pretty formidable defense. I was looking up and down the roster this week, and I got to tell you, it looks like their defense has lost some of the talent that they previously had. Particularly on the defensive line and in the cornerback group. It just doesn't look like they have as much prolific talent as they once did. We're in a 3rd and long here, and so I'm going to buckle in. I'm running a verticals play here, and Rudolph is going to be my check down, but I'm going to see if I can get Diggs over the middle. Diggs has got a linebacker on him there who is doing a suspiciously good job running with him, but that was one of those rare cases where the game actually doesn't screw me over in a major way. I'm able to get that to Diggs over the linebacker. And so on 1st and goal here, let's see if we can get Dalvin Cook into the end zone. He has plenty of room inside. He does some sort of weird half spin move there. I don't know what that weird stutter step move was. I thought he had a nice hole there. So we're on the 2-yard line, and I'm not gonna get cute here. We're just gonna try to pound this thing in. We're at the end of the first quarter here, though, and so we'll take a break and we'll flip the field. Where the Seahawks defense remains pretty darn good is their linebacking core is pretty good. Most notably at middle linebacker, they have Bobby Wagner, who is a 99 overall in Madden, and so he's going to be one to watch tomorrow to see what he's doing over the middle of the field there. Another interesting wrinkle with the linebacking core, our middle linebacker, Eric Kendricks, who's actually questionable tomorrow but hopeful to play, he'll be squaring off against his brother, Michael Kendricks, who is an outside linebacker for the Seattle Seahawks. And so that'll be a fun one to watch, the Kendricks brothers, which of them is able to kind of shape the game. I'm running Latavius Murray here off the left side, and we'll see if we can get I'm actually going to run this more straight ahead rather than running it off the tackle. And we'll see if we can't move forward. And we don't, really. So we're backed up to the 4. 3rd and goal on the 4. I think we're going to need to pass here and see if we can't convert for a touchdown here. I'm going to run a spot pattern, which is a route that I tend to like. We're going to have Thielen essentially sitting down at the goal line. I'm going to audible Cook into a slant, and I'm going to see on the left side if he's got any space over there. And he does. Lots of space. And he holds on to it. And so it wasn't how I drew it up in terms of I would have liked to get Cook in the end zone on first or second down, just pound it through. But we get Cook the touchdown anyway. And we have an early second quarter lead. I'm sure the game's going to... Oh, no, they don't ask me to kick the extra point, so that's nice. You know, a couple other Seahawks defenders worth noting is they've got some really good safeties. Cam Chancellor and Earl Thomas. And so that's a pretty good safety pairing. And so it'll be fun to watch that pairing versus, as we mentioned, as I was about to mention, Harrison Smith and Anthony Harris. Harrison Smith recovers a fumble. And so that's our second turnover of the game in our favor. And we, just like that, we once again have the ball in the red zone. And so, how about this, folks? The turnover battle, which has bedeviled us all year, we have a positive 3 turnover rating right now. And so that's huge. Let's try to run this ball on first down. Not getting much. But here's a moment to ponder. If we were playing the full game, if we weren't playing the moments here, what are the odds that we'd be able to collect 3 turnovers before halftime? And so, like I said, play the moments might be the way we should have been doing this all season. I'm going to be looking for Rudolph as a tall target in the back of the end zone here. Double coverage on him, so I try to check it down to CJ Ham, but he's got a linebacker breathing down on him as well. All right, 3rd and 12. Let's try this. Let's try a double post, actually. I kind of like this because I'm going to be looking for Treadwell in the back corner or Thielen in that double post. But I've got 2 good check down options. Diggs coming over the middle and Cook swinging out to the right. I'm not gonna take any major risks. I'm just mentioning that turnover differential. I didn't want to force it and turn over the ball in the red zone. And so we'll try this field goal attempt and extend our lead to a 7-point lead. That was the other matchup that I actually called out as the special teams game. Safe to say that the Vikings special teams unit is in minor disarray, if not on its way to major disarray. Bailey has been struggling to kick the ball with accuracy in the last few weeks. Lots of questions about why that is. In last week's game, there was a moment in the first half where the holder, Matt Weil, was rushing onto the field late, and so there was some question there if the missed kick had something to do with the hurried pace. If the holds have been good, if Dan Bailey is just struggling on his own merits. I think the entire Mike Zimmer era has been defined by a lot of special teams dysfunction. And on that note, I think one of the moments of greatest special teams dysfunction in Viking history came against this Seahawks team. January 2016, Wild Card Weekend at TCF Bank Stadium. The Vikings and the Seahawks are playing in a very cold outdoor game. The Vikings are scrapping and by all accounts have been outplaying a Seahawks team that had beat them earlier in the year. And Blair Walsh has a gimme of a kick, and he misses badly. So that's the heights of special teams dysfunction. We're coming up on halftime. The game's going to ask me to take over here. We've got the ball at about midfield with a minute and a half to go. 1st and 10. I'm going to try my hand at a screen pass here. See if we can get Dalvin going in open space. One linebacker manages to sneak through and stuff that one. Such a shame, because we had 3 linemen out there ready to run downfield. And it puts us in a 2nd and long, which isn't where we want to be. So I'm not going to be too aggressive with this clock until I determine what I'm able to do on this play. Looks like we've got a safety coming up, so we'll have to see. I'm actually going to send both my receivers out deep and see what we get. And there's a moment where, again, attacking, that one safety came up to blitz, the other safety nudges over, the cornerback put a press on Diggs. I saw the press and decided to take a shot, and for the 2nd time in this game, I didn't pay for it. And so that, you might notice a note of surprise in my voice. I'm a little shocked at how not brutal the game has been to me so far. No safety over the top on Rudolph's side here. I'm going to watch this linebacker. If he's not following Rudolph, I might take a shot with Rudolph. Otherwise, I'm going to have Cook coming over the middle. And that'll do. I'm going to go into a hurry up here. And I'm going to try to... I have 2 timeouts, but I'm just going to hold on to those for now. I'm going to audible Rudolph out to the sideline and see if we can't get him out there. He doesn't make it out of bounds, so I'm going to burn my 2nd timeout. But 1st and 10 on the 10-yard line. This should put us in a situation where we can take some shots. I'll take a couple shots to the end zone here. Nothing too dangerous, but maybe some slant patterns, spot patterns, which I've noted I'm a fan of. So we're going to have both Diggs and Thielen on slants here, and I'm going to kind of see which of them has more space. A lot of these linebackers might cause some trouble. I'm actually going to be looking for Thielen here. Going to throw this away. A lot of linebackers dropping back into a zone there. Gonna put a premium. I'm going to continue to put a premium on ball control here. Let's see, what are we looking at? So when Thielen comes into this spot route, he's going to be a good deal short of the end zone, but I'm hoping that the Seahawks might give us a little bit of a cushion and pull back to the goal line. We'll burn our last timeout with 8 seconds and a 3rd and goal play. And so here, what we're going to need is we're going to need something that gets the ball out of Kirk's hands quickly, but that is for sure in the end zone. Because I just burned that last timeout, we can't afford to throw anything shy of the end zone, because then the clock will run out and we won't get... clock will run out and we won't have time for a field goal. And so what I'm really going to be looking for here is the double slant on the left. If Treadwell occupies some coverage here, can I get Diggs? And indeed I do. Well, don't look now, folks, but we have got a 17-3 lead heading into the half, and I believe we get the ball. And so here's the hope. Welcome to our viewer hopping on right now. We've got a surprisingly strong performance here in the first half. We're entering the second half with a 17-3 lead. and we have the ball. Let's see how this simulation does if we're able to march. The interesting thing here is with a lead like that, we should be able to run the ball. There's been Diggs gets injured there, hopefully nothing serious. There's been a lot of talk, a lot of chatter, I think, about how the Vikings have not been running the ball effectively enough this year, or at a minimum what you could say is they haven't been committing to the run enough. And I actually think that's going to be a key tomorrow. I mentioned that the Seahawks defensive line is not as formidable as it has been in the past. And you know, because of that, hopefully Dalvin, Latavius would be able to make something happen tomorrow. I'm actually going to run this on 3rd and 3. The hat counts red, but I mean, if you look at that offensive line, it looks like there's a ton of space there. And so I'm going to try to run this out of the shotgun to the right side. I'm going to milk as much clock as I can because why not? And let's see. I've been struggling. The sim has been running the ball well. I've been struggling. Let's see if I can change that. Lots of space there. I like it. And so there'll be a first down. You know, I think beyond the complaints about the Vikings not committing to the run enough, I don't begrudge them being a pass-first offense. I think that's the modern NFL for you. But the thing that I begrudge is I think Kyle Rudolph has been pretty underutilized this year. And so those are the two things I think against this Seahawks defense. Can Dalvin and Rudolph have big games tomorrow? Those are two things that I think I'll be looking for. 3rd and 14 or 3rd and 16, Kirk completes a clutch pass to Diggs there. And so once again, we're in the red zone. It's 1st and 10. The clock is ticking, and I'm gonna run this ball. I'm gonna try to take my own advice here. See what we can do. The defense in our simulation here, the defense has done a heck of a job silencing the Seahawks offense, and as noted earlier, getting some takeaways too. Cook falls forward there. Gets, you know, not a pretty run, but manages to get us 3 yards, and that's the key. He's not getting knocked backward. Let's see if we can find some other... Let's see what... Oh, I like this one. I like these runs out of the shotgun. Again, the hat counts are red, but I do like, if you look between the right tackle and the right guard there, that's a lot of green space. So let's see if we can take advantage. Indeed we do. Look at that. That's a beauty. Gets us a 1st and 10 from the 7-yard line. Again, we're in a pretty power position here. Let's see. What's the community like in this situation? We've been running the ball well against our standard, and so I'm going to do a little play action power O here, and I'm going to be looking for Thielen over the middle or Rudolph in the back of the end zone. The inside looked crowded. Oh, we've just had an error, folks. My PlayStation is freaked out on me. I apologize. It's telling me that the data has been corrupted. This is the greatest of all ironies. Probably the best game we've been having all year, about to take a 24-3 lead, and we are interrupted by a PlayStation 4 error. I am a bit flabbergasted. My PlayStation is trying to sort out the issue, but it's not making great progress. But the beauty of this being broadcast to the whole internet, this strikes me as a schoolyard situation where when you were young, you'd maybe tell your friends, oh, I was playing the best game of my life. I was just killing it. And then my Nintendo or my PlayStation crapped out on me. And they'd say, oh, sure. Yeah, that's what they always say. But it's on the tape. I can prove it, folks. I can prove on Twitch, my one or two viewers, they know. It's no joke. It's no lie. We were cruising, and then the error bug bit us. My PlayStation doesn't seem to be know what to do here. Usually, I confess I've had some issues of late where my PlayStation will sometimes, because of I have a external hard drive that I plug into it. Sometimes that'll have issues, and my games will kind of get booted because of an issue with the PlayStation interfacing with the external hard drive. I've seen that before, but usually it resolves itself pretty quickly. This one is not resolving itself. And so here's what we're going to do. We're going to stop the broadcast here because you've got nothing to look at. You've just got a blue screen with a bunch of bouncing faces on it. I don't even know if you have that because my PlayStation is unresponsive across the board. And so I'm going to shut this bad boy down and see if I can't get back online. Absent that, we will just call this, we'll just call this a likely Vikings victory, a 17-3 lead with about a quarter to go. We were late in the third quarter, about to go up at least 20-3. I think that's a safe Vikings victory, but